The power of selfless giving. Once upon a time in a thriving kingdom, there lived a benevolent and compassionate ruler named King Harsh. He was widely known for his generosity and kindness. Every morning, as the golden sunlight illuminated the land, he would ride through the city in his magnificent chariot, carrying food for those in need. He fed stray dogs, helped the impoverished, and ensured that no saint or beggar in his realm went to bed hungry. The people revered him, calling him the guardian of the helpless. One day, as the king was feeding the stray dogs, a clever minister accompanying him remarked, "Your Majesty, without you, these poor souls would starve. You are their savior. They rely entirely on your kindness." The king, though pleased with the praise, simply smiled. However, a saint sitting nearby suddenly burst into laughter. Curious, the king asked, "O wise one, what amuses you?" The saint calmly responded, "Minister's words made me smile, O king. The reality is that you are not the one providing for them. It is the Almighty. We are merely instruments of His will. When we give, it should come from love, not from a sense of superiority. Love is the one language all living beings understand." The saint's words unsettled the king. Did this mean that his generosity held no real value? His pride was wounded, and he resolved to prove the saint wrong. The next day, he decided not to feed anyone. As the sun rose, the king set out with his chariot full of food, but he did not distribute a single morsel. The stray dogs followed him, their eyes full of hope, but he ignored them. Days passed, and the once lively animals grew frail. The streets became quieter as the hungry searched for food. One day, the king saw the same saint seated by the roadside. Smirking in triumph, he halted his chariot and declared, "Look, I have not fed these dogs for days. See how weak they have become? Does this not prove that I was the one sustaining them, not your so-called Almighty?" The saint smiled and replied, "Tell me, your Majesty, have you noticed how these dogs are still alive?" The king scoffed. "Alive? They are barely surviving. If I continue withholding food, they will surely perish." The saint nodded and said, "Life and death are also determined by Him. If it is destined that they must endure hardship, so be it. But remember, true generosity is not about proving a point. It is about giving without expecting anything in return." The king clenched his fists. He was determined to prove the saint wrong. The next morning, he set out once again with his chariot full of food. But fate had other plans. Midway, the wheel of his chariot suddenly broke, causing him to fall heavily to the ground. His food basket toppled over, scattering food everywhere. In pain, the king watched as the stray dogs rushed toward him. A wave of fear gripped him. Would they attack him? But to his astonishment, the dogs ignored the food. Instead, they gathered around him, licking his wounds, standing by his side as if protecting him. At that moment, the saint arrived, smiling. "O king, do you see? Even in their hunger, these creatures chose love over food. They do not care for you because you feed them, but because they feel your presence in their hearts. Today, your wealth and power could not protect you, but the love you unknowingly gave returned to shield you." Tears welled up in the king's eyes as realization dawned upon him. Until now, he had given out of pride, not true kindness. He had fed others to feel superior, not to serve. But love is not about ego, it is about compassion. That day the king humbly bowed before the saint and said, "I now understand my mistake. From today I will give not for recognition, but out of genuine kindness." From that moment on, King Harsh became a transformed man. He gave selflessly, expecting nothing in return, and his kingdom flourished with harmony and love. True kindness is not about power or recognition. It is about love. Giving should come from the heart, not from a desire to prove one's greatness. When we share with sincerity, kindness finds its way back to us in ways we never expect. Wealth and status may not always shield us, but pure compassion and selfless love create bonds that endure the test of time.